Okay, so we're finishing off with commercial content, which we've been speaking about in terms of promotions. So we're in your next level radio textbook. We started looking at promotions. We spoke about FUBI. So FUBBI, as in fun or funny, useful, bold, beautiful, and inspiring content. And then we started looking at radio promotions. What are the four objectives of a radio promotion? And we said that they are there to entertain the passive listener and to get them to listen for longer and to talk about the content, to engage the research participants, so the all-important participant in research samples who log what radio stations they are listening to in the research diaries, aka your active listeners, okay, and get them to play along. Then number 3, the third one, to create platforms of engagement for brands and advertisers. And lastly, to gather detailed data on listeners to benefit both the radio station and the listeners. To create a successful promotion, it's important that you entertain your passive listener, okay? It's important to make sure that there is some sort of FUBI element in this thing. Otherwise, it's going to be boring and no one will be able to play along. It has to also benefit, well, everyone in this thing. So all 3 stakeholders, which are, again, passive audience, active audience, and my advertisers. Okay, we'll all get something from this. And we stopped last week by looking at the different questions that you need to answer, which is, will it increase ratings by generating more tune-ins? Will it create awareness, thereby creating word-of-mouth marketing? Will it help establish a personal relationship between the station and its loyal listeners? Will it enhance the radio station's image and brand proposition? Will it give a station an opportunity to get data? And will it generate sales revenue? So the checklist that Michael Hedge provides us asks the following, that you should be able to tick all the boxes of this checklist, which was the promotion meets the marketing objectives. Firstly, the promotional idea chosen is the one that is most likely to succeed. Secondly, the promotion is memorable, it's prominent, it's simple, the rules do not take longer than 30 seconds to read out, each step is thoroughly thought out, the listeners will feel that the time and energy that they've invested is worth it, and lastly, the promotion has secured publicity, so it will receive coverage in local media. That brings us then to the execution of this thing. So when we think about the execution of a promotion, it's important to keep in mind the purpose of a promotion, again, to entertain the passive listener and to get them to listen longer and talk about the content, to engage the radio contestant, so your active listener, and your research participant, to get them playing along and therefore listening longer and talking about the content, and to create platforms of engagement for brands and advertisers. We look at the 3 of them, the 3 stakeholders, your passive listener, the active listener, and the advertiser, to see how we need to execute our campaign. And before we can actually execute it, we need to do a tease. We need to do a throw forward, okay? We need to do a promise. Remember, there are only 2 types of links, a promise and a performance. So this is your promise that will lead to your performance. So any good promotion needs to be teased or needs to be promoted by a presenter. Otherwise, I'm not going to know that it's coming up. Tease needs to get listeners interested to either listen or to participate in the promotion. And it needs to give the advertiser space to highlight their brand. So it's a promise that what you're going to hear is worth your time, worth your effort, and convince you that you should keep listening because the promotion will be of value to you. Okay? A promise will look different from a stakeholder's point of view. So a listening stakeholder, a passive listener will listen from an entertainment value perspective. Okay, they want to see what they can get out of it in terms of entertainment. And an active listener will hear how they can participate in this competition, okay, what they should do to participate. So your promise or your tease or your throw forward for the passive listener needs to highlight the FUBI part of this promotion. And the promise or the tease or the throw forward needs to convince your passive listener that the promotion will be fun or funny to listen to. Useful information will be given to them. It will be bold. It will be daring and different. It will be a beautiful piece of audio that will inspire them. So once this promise has been made, it's the presenter's job to make sure that the execution of this promotion lives up to this promise and creates the emotive response that will keep the listener engaged or get them talking about this promotion, which is what you want. You want word of mouth. I want you to go, oh, wow, have you heard this that's happening? Okay. For the active listener, the promise is an explanation of the mechanics of the promotion, along with instructions on how to enter. So people listen from a different point of view. So your actual winner moment is what we've been leading up towards. So this is the moment that the promise has been teasing towards. So your execution, your performance. You're now performing only for your passive listener because your active listener is already participating. The active listener will be playing the game and they're engaged as a player, or they've become a passive listener who has to now listen to other people playing the game because they haven't been chosen. So the emphasis here is on the listener who is not playing the game actively, but listening in, right? So anyone who was actively trying to come in and has not succeeded automatically becomes a passive listener. So your whole execution moment is centered around your passive listener, which is why simply doing enter to win does not work, because there's nothing in it of value to me as a passive listener if you're just making it, if you just need to call in and win, right? If you just get on the line and yay, you won. I need something more out of it. So when executing this promotion, it's your job as a presenter to keep your listeners engaged using every FABI tactic that this promotion was designed around, which is why we also prep them so well. They should also prepare the winner moment and the throw forward for the next time that this promotion will be executed. So you should know what you're going to be doing in your next competition moment. As a presenter, you need to focus on making the winning moments special. You can hear I've had very flat winner moments and I've had greatly executed winning moments. It depended on the presenter. Okay, we can assist you so far and brief you as much as we have time to, or as much as we possibly can, but it's still about the presenter on air at that specific moment. Okay, obviously, if you have someone who's not super excited as a presenter, you need to make that excited happen. Okay, then you need to pick up the reins. From a presenter point of view, when you make a winner moment sound special and you make a big deal out of it, it ensures that your winner feels valued, and then they will want to tell their friends and their social media connections about this winner moment and about how they've been treated by the radio station, by the advertiser, okay, how much this means to them, etc. Winners become prominent brand members for brands, and they need to be looked after. Okay, as soon as you've won, you're an active listener who won a competition, you are seen as a brand ambassador for brands. So in commercial radio, if the promotion has a sponsor, which they mostly do, and they need to be looked after, well, they do need to be looked after quite well. We have to think about how much effort we put in when there is a sponsor or a brand or a partner attached to the specific competition. So we position the brand to be the hero of this execution. So thank you so much to Console for changing this person's life. Right? You're the hero as the brand. The person who's paying for this thing we make them the hero. So it's important to make sure that the brand reaches the objective of obtaining excellent audience participation on air to build brand awareness, okay, so that we get that people on air to interact, that we have embedded the brand messaging into the radio content. So whatever the brand's message is, we take it and we use it in our content that we create for this winter moment. We highlight their new products or their product launches. We effectively communicate their short-term objectives, whatever they are trying to achieve right now. We create a strong, positive brand association for this brand because we've linked them to our station. And we direct listeners to a clear point of purchase, okay, or point of sales, POS, convincing them to buy their products or services. And we do this through call to actions, okay, CTA, call to action. I am calling you to take an action. So these objectives need to be met in order for the promotion to be seen as a success for a brand or an advertiser. And the success of a promotion is always the result of proper preparation. There's a lot of prep that goes into it, okay, into it working at the end of the day. It doesn't just happen. So there are a couple of strategies that we can use, but the following example shows a strategy for creating effective promotions that was written for a South African commercial radio station. And the aim is simply to entertain the passive listener, to engage the radio contestant and research participants, to increase digital interactions, to increase your listenership, okay? That is on page 220. So Lunt says that there are some basic rules that you need to follow during an activation or an execution. So promote any promotion for at least 3 days. So let's say you start next week, promote it from at least this week, Wednesday onwards. Promote any promotion for at least 2 weeks before an event. So if there's an event that you are inviting people to, but it's not a huge event, you start marketing it about 2 weeks prior. Tease the promotion at least once, 15 minutes before the execution. So 10 to 15 minutes before you are executing this winner moment, you need to do a promise, a throw forward, a tease, so that I know that this thing is coming up. Put the contestants on the station website and send promotional emails to your database. Make sure you physically have the prizes at the station before the promotion begins. We do not do any sort of competition on air if we do not have the prizes at hand. Publish the contest's rules on your website. We have to in terms of copy. If we do a competition, you have to include budget for putting the T's and C's on that radio station's website, always. Keep the contest rules on hand in studio. Give the receptionist a copy of the contest rules to properly handle phone queries if anyone phones and asks about how they can enter this competition. Make sure that the advertising client has approved all the commercial messaging around promotion briefs. Nothing goes on air before the client has signed off on it, okay? We can rather push something out than play it before the client has actually agreed to this thing. You can get into a lot of trouble otherwise. Keep a close record of all the winner's information. Record the execution for later on a use. Create a winner's moment promo as soon as possible to build contest excitement. So you create a promo that says that, like, plays the winners, the winner moment of today, and then it says something like, you can, if you didn't win today, you can enter, and perhaps you can be the winner tomorrow, for instance. Okay. Then there are certain things that are not in here that are really important to remember in terms of the South African advertising rules and regulations, which says that you always need to include what an SMS costs if they need to send through an SMS. So it has to say SMSs cost 2 Rand, SMSs cost 1.50 Rand, whatever it is, and it has to say T's and C's apply. Otherwise, that thing will be pulled off the air very quickly, okay? And everyone will get into trouble. So if we look at an example from a typical promotional brief for client here, example 6A, It's for Rose Fest, 5 to 7 August 2019. And then they give you an instruction sheet. So a bit of background, which reads, this Women's Month, celebrate a special woman in your life with ZFM and Shana's Rose Fest, happening at Nasrec on Saturday, 9 August. We've asked you to go to zfm.co.za and tell us about a lady in your life who deserves roses with a difference, roses that never die, for a chance to win them and yourself tickets to Shana's Rose Fest. If you've entered, we could be calling you. Mechanic, play execution opener, take nominator to air, get nominee on air with them, get nominated to tell the person nominated why she's special, award them their prize. Then you get all their info, prize descriptions. Congratulations, you've both won tickets to Rose Fest happening this Saturday at Nasrec, courtesy of ZFM. Throw forward, keep listening to ZFM this week for a chance to win tickets to Rose Fest presented by ZFM. Then there's another example, grabitall.com, where they say what the competition is, which is Win Big with grabitall.com, SA's largest online shopping mall. Show Big Dogs Big Breakfast. Is there pre-recorded publicity? Yes, they give you the time of the broadcast. Then they tell you in a nutshell what it looks like. Okay, so Grabitall offers the widest range of goods with over 9 million products, including some of the biggest brands across 18 different departments. They also have daily deals, fast, efficient delivery, and safe, secure, and flexible payment methods. So with grabitall.com, get used to great stuff at great prices. Get used to lots of safe and secure ways to pay. Get used to grabitall.com, SA's largest or greatest online store. The brand obviously being promoted here, grabitall.com. Prizes, 5,000 Rand gift voucher. Then they tell you about the digital support that they are doing. So Facebook and Twitter, 2 posts per day per platform, each including a link to grabitall.com. 1 generic competition post explaining the concept and the timestamp of this competition, and 1 clue given every 2 hours, or given out 2 hours before the competition as an advantage to the digital community with the timestamp of the competition. So I say 2 hours before it, I say, what's it now, almost 11. So I say at 1 o'clock, or tune in at 1:15 to see if you've won, and blah, blah, blah. You give out all the details. They give you the detailed mechanics. So each day the presenters will pretend they have an actual Grabitall box in the studio. The box will represent different categories, all seen on grabitall.com. Inside each box, there will be a mystery product from the selected department of the day. This should sound familiar. It's like, what's in the box? Presenters will mention the department of the day and encourage listeners to visit grabitall.com to see what the products are. They'll also give out a first clue as part of the throw forward, and the remainder of the clues once they have the listener on air. Presenter will take 2 callers on air and give them a series of clues about the product. The first caller to call correctly and to correctly identify the product in the box wins a 5,000 Rand voucher. The caller only has to identify the product generically, like a grill or a Weber, whatever, and not the full specific name. So they have throw forward for this thing. It says today's grabitall.com delivery package is from the garden, pool, and patio department. It's a top selling product from the department. And the first clue is I'm portable. So go to your garden, pool, or patio department and start discovering what the product could be. You could win a 5,000 Rand voucher. Then they give you the competition moment. And in this thing, they say today's clues are I'm portable, I'm lightweight, I can sit on a table, you can't use me inside, I love going camping, my fans say that I sizzle, I cook a steak like a pro. And the answer then is a Weber gas grill, a Braai grill. And then afterwards you read the actual product in the Grabitall delivery package was a Weber compact kettle grill, which you can buy at Grabitall today for 1,300 Rand. Okay. So that's to give you an idea. So that's how you would execute a normal competition. But when it comes to competitions, the other thing that we really do ourselves as a radio station at least twice a year is to do a kind of competition that we call a Cume Builder. So Cume refers to cumulative audience. So my overall listenership is broken down into cum audience, but then I also have my average quarter hour listeners. So I have my overall stats of how many listeners I have, and then I have the amount of listeners that we get from time spent listening. So TSL, which we take every quarter hour, okay, every 15 minutes. So cum builders are important because what we try to do is we want to increase the amount of listeners that we have on a radio station. So a cum builder will be aimed at my listeners across all the platforms, but I'm also trying to get my P2 listeners in, which refers to my secondary listeners, not only my core listeners. Okay. So cum builders, we do literally in order to try and gain more listeners, to increase our listenership figures, our overall listenership. Okay, so you should be seeing an Excel doc now. And this Excel doc shows you your BRC RAMs. So Broadcasting Research Council radio audience membership measurement figures in essence. Okay, so from July 2022 to June 2023. So the totals here at the top. This is the amount of people who listen to radio in South Africa. It's 42.5 million. Okay, so that's 100% of our figures. Don't worry too much about this. All it does is it tells you that radio stations listened. So how many people of these 42 million have listened to radio over the past week? So 31.9 million. And then here you can see the split. How many of these that have listened to radio over the last week are from public broadcasters or commercial radio stations? 30.5 million. Then the top was Ukhozi FM for over the last 7 days with 7.634 million listeners. So just to give you an idea, so Ukhozi FM on its own, okay, reaches 17.9% of my overall audience versus the total combined community radio stations listenership. My combined radio station listenership is 7.177 for last week, which amounts to 16.9% of my overall listeners. So there are more listeners on Ukhozi FM listening per 7 day than there are listening to all the community radio stations combined over a 7 day period. Okay, doesn't still mean that I need to do all my advertising on Ukhozi FM because Ukhozi has a very centered audience. Very well, if you don't understand Zulu, you can't really listen to it. So then after that, it's Metro from a commercial point of view with 4.668, which is 11% of the overall listenership. Oops, what am I doing? Figures. Okay, just to show you again from that. And then it's Mhlobo Wenene, Lesedi FM, Motsweding FM, Tobela, Radio 2000. Then it's the total Gauteng community radio listeners. Okay, so in Gauteng, we know from a community point of view, 1.611 people are listening on a weekly basis. Then it's KZN, then it's Gagazi FM, then it's Mongana Lonene, Jacaranda, Ligwala Gwala, Arisgia, Palapala, Ikwekwezi, then East Coast Radio, then the total Western Cape community radio stations, then KFM, then 947, then 5, then Y, etc., etc. Okay, and it goes down and down and down. So this isn't the exact stats that you will get on the BRC. This is stats that have been pulled from a specific program that we can put any data into and it'll tell us who we should be talking to, okay? But that is just to give you an idea of what this data currently looks like in South Africa. So we use that data before we start putting any campaign together. So that data is really important for us, and that's the data that we try and increase. And how do we do that? By marketing, by doing things like Cume builders. So Cume builder, there's a promotional strategy on page 224. So what they've done here is they have, so they want to avoid basic promotions that are based on call-in contestants that only entice tuned-in listeners to keep listening for longer. Instead, we want to use our database to drive tune-in, which will drive up our cumulative audience, our overall listenership. So they have 3 databases. They have their app with their SMS or email database. They have their Twitter community and their Facebook/Instagram database. So each week of this promotion, XFM Programming wants to use one of their databases to push tune-in. So by sending specific inside information to each database, by giving members of each database information on when to tune in and what to listen out for. So in other words, I'm not putting my clues on all my databases. This week, I might only be putting it on Twitter. Next week, I might only be doing it on my app, giving you the clues, okay? So the aim is to get listeners to tune in at specific times, and hopefully this will drive tune-ins and help with recall for diary respondents, which is how we get our figures. And then they give away different prizes, and you can see it's broken up into 4 different weeks. The first week, they just do promotions on air. In the second week, they use all their shows to also drive this thing, promotions to hype up prizes and to drive app downloads. So I'm sending you to my app in the second week. I give you a message. I give you the mechanic. I tell you it'll be on a show, anything between 6 in the morning and 10 at night. And you need to listen out for a specific comical or slapstick sound effect that you've learned about through the digital clue. When they hear it, they must call in to claim their prize, or they place in the draw rather. So then they'll go into the Friday draw, and here they can win a prize. The third week, they do the same thing on Twitter. The fourth week, they do the same thing on Facebook and Instagram. Then the final draw happens in week 5, where they give away the big experience. Okay, so this is a type of campaign that drives all my owned media products. Okay, everything I own from a media perspective. So radio station owns the content on air. They own their website. They own the app. To a certain extent, you can say they own their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. But obviously that is run by them. But if Facebook tomorrow decides to shut the thing down, then it won't exist any longer, right? So it's owned by them from a content perspective, but they can't control if it goes down to get it back up, okay? So then there's another strategy that we need to keep in mind, and this is the play along factor. And this one for me is really important, the play along factor. Okay. So the play along factor is on page 227. And the big thing is interactivity is one of the most important aspects of any show. Okay. We want you to be actively engaged in the show. Even if your audience doesn't actively participate, they should be engaging with the personalities. I should be engaged. I should be listening still. But many radio stations and shows make it very hard to play along, because they do make it a call in to win. Woohoo, okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to make it a game, not a call in to win. So this kind of strategy is to attract a larger audience by hooking them with the game and not just by the prize. Of course, the incentive or the payoff is important, okay, always. But remember that most people are not likely to believe that they're going to win. Most of us don't think we stand a chance. So guess what? We don't enter. So it's more important that we make the whole audience feel like they can play along. Everyone needs to feel that they can be included in this thing. So interactive games are addictive and fun. I don't know about you, but I know quite a few people who play games, whether it's on their phones or on a computer. Okay. And I know it's quite addictive, those things. And this is how TV game shows and reality shows have thrived for decades, because it's that game element to it. Why competitive games still do well. So think about how often you shout out at the TV or your radio when you think you know an answer and the person who's playing along doesn't know it. I know I do it when I watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and anything similar. We tune in so much to watch the contestants to win or to listen to them winning when it's an actual game versus if it's just a call in to win. Okay. And I don't care about the prize if I'm a passive listener. For me, it's not about the whatever prize you're winning. Okay. It can be 50 Rand, it can be R1,000,000. It's about the actual game that we're playing on air. So we tune in not so much to watch the contestants win or to listen to the contestants win, but rather to play along with them. So that's the first one, okay? Make it a game, not a call in to win. The second one is invite participation. So it's easier to promote a tease or to promote a game than it is to promote a simple call in to win promotion. It's important to remember that you are trying to make this game sound enticing to my passive audience, okay? To people who are just listening, not just to make the small active part of the audience want to enter to win. So this starts with how you attract participation, which means that the way in which you phrase the participation phrase is critical. It's all about how you come up with a copy. The copywriting of this thing. You could start the promotion with a question that mentions the prize and then tell your audience how the competition works. So they have an example here that says, want to see you two on Saturday? Call now and play the lyrics quiz. Straightforward. Alternatively, you can do it the other way around. So start with the quiz question that ties in with the prize and then announce the prize itself. So name the U2 song this lyric is from. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Call now and play the lyrics game or lyrics quiz game and win double tickets to the show. I would never say tickets for two. I would just say double tickets. So in this kind of way, you've engaged your audience with an interactive game that they can play along with, whether they want to still play along with the game. So in addition, you've also hooked the listeners who may not normally want to phone in for tickets and participate, either actively just to be able to win or just to play along, okay? Because you've given them a hook when you did your promise in your promotion. Okay, thirdly, it's the game execution. So always prepare your callers and ensure that they understand how to play your game, how this game works. I need to know 100% how to play the game before I go on air. If we think about the U2 example, you'll need to make sure that the caller knows the questions and has heard the lyrics before they go on air. Remember that listeners are not communication experts. The average listener has never been on air, never been taught how to communicate properly. They're not highly skilled on air personalities with the goal of ensuring that the audience enjoys the show and keeps listening. That's your job as the presenter. So listeners who participate in competitions are often very nervous as well. So giving them more information in advance will make them feel more comfortable. You want them as comfortable as possible before they go on air. And you want them to feel confident because this improves the sound of the game for everyone else who's listening also. Then use multiple choice. So this is a strategy where we ask ABCD kind of questions. So instead of asking open-ended questions like what song is this lyrics from, we give them a multiple choice options. Okay, so we say, is this lyrics from A, this, B, this, C, this, or D, this? Again, that's where things like Who Wants to Be and what made it such a big hit. So every question was multiple choice. So everyone could play along and feel that much closer to getting the answer correctly. Okay, so then lastly there, let them cheat. That's an interesting one, let them cheat. This might sound a little concerning to you, but it's not. If you ask the competition question on air, then the listeners can search the answer on the internet or ask a friend. And this doesn't matter, okay? The point is not to mislead your audience. Your job is to engage with them and to entertain them. So if you play into their emotions by improving their chances of winning a prize, then you have increased the show's appeal. Additionally, by letting them cheat, you can make them feel smarter. Whether they are or not, we automatically subconsciously feel more intelligent. So there are a lot of different ways that this can be done through a lot of different competitions, etc. Okay, that we can use to do this. So we also always try and incorporate all the different owned media platforms that station has in order for us to gain the maximum exposure, okay, to get as many people as we possibly can. Okay, so I want us to go and look at this link quickly. This is a company that does a lot of radio promotions and outreach, and they focus on the type of campaigns that they offer. Okay? So they differ from traditional buying ad time techniques, which means not only normal 30-second spots or live reads, okay? Different ways of getting people's attention. So when the fit is good, radio is great to be on. So here they talk about just what the value is in it for you, what you can get. So demographic specific traffic driving tools that enhance and complement traditional marketing or public relations initiatives. They talk about your return on investment, and it's custom. So they do contests, games, live DJ remotes, and listener calling campaigns and giveaways, all the different types of things. Okay. Here are some examples. So here on the left, on the right, sorry, there's Dr. Pepper's, Dr. Pepper, Carl's Jr. takes a taste drive radio promos. Okay, so I'm going to play this for you. Ooh, why is it so
what you're about to hear after the roar of the new 2010 Chevrolet Camaro are actual live radio promotional talk-ups that aired on premier radio stations across the country. This promotion was in support of the Dr. Pepper and Carl's Jr. Hardee's Take a Test Drive radio outreach campaign, coordinated by Duray and Company. This compilation of recorded spots represents a sampling of the exciting promotional talk-up that aired throughout the 5-week period during the Dr. Pepper and Carl's Jr. Hardee's radio promotion. The promotion encompassed 20 different radio stations across the country in 17 markets, all strategically located in the geographic regions as specified by Dr. Pepper, Carl's Jr., and Hardee's. In each market, the radio stations ran the radio promotion for 5 consecutive days, and each day gave away prize packs consisting of an 8-gig iPod Touch, custom emblazoned from Dr. Pepper, a Dr. Pepper custom t-shirt, and a $15 Carl's Jr. or Hardee's gift card. And on the final day, the lucky grand prize winner received not only the original gift pack, but a $50 Carl's Jr. Hardee's gift card.
Right.
We begin our exciting Dr. Pepper Carl's Jr. Hardee's Camaro road trip on the East Coast, starting in Richmond, Virginia, with a revved up presentation from station WCDX FM.
Dr. Pepper and Hardee's are giving away a new 2010 Chevy Camaro. And we're also giving you the chance to take a taste drive. Just listen today through Friday for Russ Parr to give you the Take a Taste Drive song of the day. When you hear it, be caller number 9 to win the revved up prize pack of an iPod Touch, custom Dr. Pepper t-shirt, and $15 from Hardee's to buy a whole lot of Dr. Pepper. One grand prize winner will get all that and $50 from Hardee's. So listen for the Take a Taste Drive song to win with Dr. Pepper, Hardee's, and iPower 92.1. Interactive hip and R&B.
Call me right now, 34592 FM. I'm looking for caller number.
Driving southeast to the Virginia coast, we take a taste drive with WNVZFM in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Virginia area.
Z104, the 757 Summer Party Station. How you doing? It's some guy named Jason. Ooh.
That gives you kind of an idea. So when we start with radio promotions, we don't only start by doing the competition. Okay, we put a lot of effort into it before this thing runs. So there is, I want to show you a post campaign of something we just finished. Right, so you should now be able to see the White Star Music Support campaign, post campaign. So this was done in 2 different phases. In phase 1, we worked with Radio 2000 between 4 and 5 every single week for 12 weeks on the drive time from 17 May to 4 August. And you can see this promotion had a lot of different elements to it. It had an interview just to kick it off. It had 240 promos playing between this period. It had 12 Friday sessions. OBB and CBB means opening billboard and closing billboard. So right before it started, there was something that we played, like a pre-recorded, and right at the end, we had one as well. And there was also a live read that would be read after each session, okay, after each hour session, which if you break it down, it's about 20 to 25 minutes of content. 3 of these were live streamed on their YouTube page and then shared again afterwards. And we had 3 additional artist interviews and 91 social media posts during this period. So Radio 2000 used their own media to post every single week for each artist. Okay, so every artist had a lot of different posts on, like I said, so they used Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to promote this on. So it's pretty much just like you can see every single week's one up until 4 August, which was the last one. And then we looked at the artists themselves who did posts, so who acted as endorsers for this campaign or this promotion. Firstly, so Langa did stuff on Twitter. Nkebakazi. My tongue is not so loose yet this morning. She posted on different platforms, multiple platforms. Simpiwe Dana posted on multiple platforms, reshared content that was distributed by Radio 2000. Zoe Mudiga did the same thing. Then there was phase 2. In phase 2, we were leading up to the actual White Star Music Experience, which was a concert, an event, okay, on 2 September. So this part of the campaign consisted of 10 on-air giveaway moments, so where we gave people tickets, either VIP or general access, 69 promos to promote the promotion, 15 live mentions. There was an outside broadcast on the 2nd of September. There were 3 interviews at the outside broadcast, and they did 2 Twitter posts and 2 Facebook posts. So then this is just all the audio pieces that are worked in. And then we have all the social media insights. So you can see some of these posts garnered quite high reaches, which also helps us with our overall reach. And this shows the engagement, right? Because some of these had quite high engagements for a post. Interestingly enough, the one that still does the best in terms of reach is Facebook. Facebook is still way higher than any other social media platform for not the Gen Z generation, obviously. Oops. And then there was Facebook streaming and YouTube streaming, where they ended up streaming 4 different things. And then we just do the breakdown of the reaches and the things. And then this was the phase 2 posts. And there's social media insights for all the artists broken down. And then we give feedback on the campaign and what worked, what didn't work, etc. Okay, so this is an example of what a promotional campaign can look like. Okay, promotion doesn't have to only have one or two elements. A promotion can have competitions, interviews, promos, live reads, social media posts, whatever else it can have. Okay, so in your mind, when you think of a promotion, don't only think of one or two aspects. So this is obviously the above the line side of things, which is above the line is your traditional media, your mass media. So your print, which is digital print also, your radio and your TV. Your through the line, TTL, is your digital side of things, where we incorporate a lot more things. And then you have below the line, which is your activations, your out of home stuff. Okay, everything else that you are doing goes into a promotion. That should give you a broad understanding when you need to look at those case studies to see whether they have been formulated in such a way that it did answer the client's objectives or not. Okay. Different strategies can be built into a radio promotion. And we spoke about CUME and TSL. So a CUME builder means I'm trying to increase my overall radio station listenership. A TSL builder means I'm trying to increase my quarter hour ratings, my 15-minute ratings as per a diary, to get more people to listen to 15-minute segments. That's why we do throw forwards also to whatever else might be of value to you that will be coming up, because we're always trying to increase our TSL. So the time that you spend listening. Our CUME is where we try and incorporate our P2 listener as well, so our secondary listener. TSLs, we mostly focus on our current listener to get you listening for longer and more often. So you need to think about, when we do promotions, always about how you can build app downloads, or how you can grow your Twitter community and your Facebook and your Instagram community. What else do you have? Okay, do you have a podcast that you're promoting? What else do you have that you can sell? Okay. And then you should be able to explain and execute the following 5 strategies. So make it a game, not a call in and win. Invite participation, your game execution, use multiple choice, and what it means to let the listener cheat. Right. So that's it in a nutshell for today. Tomorrow we're going to start looking at buying, selling, and executing airtime, which is where your one part of your assignment is going to come in. So have a good rest of your afternoon, and I'll chat to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.